We're told to save and invest, but usually we're just thrown into adulthood without any instructions on how to do this. Should you put money towards your student loans, bet everything on tech stocks, or let your money sit in a high-yield savings account? In 7 simple steps, I'm going to show you how to save, invest, and pay off debt the smart way, following an order of operations approach based off of highest guaranteed return to lowest guaranteed returns. Hi, I'm Dr. Dang, and you're watching The Financial Neurologist. I'm a board-certified physician turned financial nerd, and together we'll take an evidence-based approach to personal finance. Let's get started. Step number 1. Use an automated financial tracking tool. Using a budgeting tool sounds lame, but it taps into a key aspect of human psychology. Have you ever played a video game where you're just grinding away to earn a few experience points to level up? What if you had no idea how many points you have at any given time, and you're never rewarded with cool new weapons or armor? The grind would just become that, a grind. Here I would recommend having a budgeting tool that lets you visualize all your financial accounts in one place and helps you set up goals to celebrate the mini wins along your journey. So instead of being a grind, you get a daily dopamine hit from looking at your account that encourages you to keep saving and investing and paying off your debt. I've used Mint.com in the past to save up for my wedding, medical school living expenses, as well as to track debt payoff for my car and saving towards a mortgage down payment. It helped to have powerful visuals of my fixed costs and allowed me to see how certain expenses limited my ability to meet my goals. Sadly, Mint.com is going by the wayside as of a recent announcement. But good news, there is a more powerful and importantly free budgeting tool that I now use and recommend. Empower Personal Dashboard, previously known as Personal Capital, has broader compatibility with different financial institutions and has great tools to automate tracking your net worth and also your monthly fixed costs. I want to emphasize again that this is completely free to use. Of course, there are many financial apps out there. I just find this one had the features that I personally value, including a hands-off automated approach to expense logging and net worth tracking at an attractive price of $0. Be smart, use a budgeting tool, and harness the power of human psychology. Step number 2, have a basic emergency fund. An emergency fund is important mainly because it lets you avoid accumulating further high interest debt or risk having your credit damaged by missing a payment, which can be very costly in the long run. There are 2 approaches to this. One, if you still have high interest debt, which includes any debt with interest rates above 6%, I recommend just saving $1,000 in your emergency fund, then follow the remaining steps in this video. If you don't have high interest debt, then I recommend that you save up at least 3 months of fixed costs. Step number 3, contribute to your 401k at least up to your match. Most employers now offer a 3 to 5% match to their employees' contribution to their 401k, which usually represents a 100% match of the contributions up to 3 to 5% of the employee's salary. Not only do you get an immediate return of 22 to 37% from the tax savings, you also get a 100% return from your employer from the match. There is absolutely no way you can get similar guaranteed returns with any other investment method. Here as well, there are 2 approaches. There is a lot of human psychology that limits us in this regard. It's hard to set aside the now to plan for the future, and when you're in your 20s, saving for retirement is about as appealing as a trip to the dentist. I'll start off small, contribute up to the match, and see how it affects your paycheck. You might find the post-tax difference may not be as much as you thought. Ideally, you would want to maximize those juicy immediate returns from putting all your pre-tax dollars at work by contributing to the maximum allowed. But this is not realistic for everybody, and that's okay. If you do have the extra income, I would encourage you to contribute to the current 2024 limit of $23,000 per year or $30,500 per year if you're above the age of 50. Step number 4, pay off high interest debt. So what is considered high interest debt? There are many ways this could be categorized, but the direct comparison I would use is any debt that has higher interest than what could reasonably be earned on average from the stock market. The inflation adjusted return of the S&P 500 index over the past 30 years has averaged around 7% per year. So I would consider any debt greater than 6% to be high interest debt. So high interest debt includes the obvious such as credit card debt, payday loans, personal loans, and unfortunately now some student loans as well as current mortgages. If you currently have any debt that is accruing interest at greater than 6%, now's the time to take a good hard look in the mirror and ask yourself, would you reasonably have guaranteed returns higher than 6% investing that money elsewhere versus paying off that debt? Some people are debt averse and will not keep a loan even if it's at 2%, and that's fine. This is more of a general rule for those who take a more tempered approach to their finances and would like to weigh their options. Step number 5, fund other tax-deferred accounts, Roth IRA, HSA, and 529. Now, this is a step that you would take after you paid off your high interest debt. Though I do feel the vast majority of Americans would do well if they're able to fully fund their 401k account. These are the tools that those with some extra income and no high interest debt could employ. A Roth IRA account is a type of retirement account that is funded with after-tax dollars that grow tax-free and allow for tax-free qualified withdrawals in retirement. For higher income earners though, you cannot contribute to a Roth IRA directly. Although it's still relatively simple to fund what is known as a backdoor Roth IRA, IRA. You basically fund a traditional IRA which has no income limit and immediately click the Convert to Roth IRA button in your brokerage account. It's that simple. An HSA is a tax-advantaged savings account that allows you to contribute pre-tax dollars that grow tax-free and allow for tax-free qualified withdrawals. This is what is meant as a triple tax advantage. You basically never pay taxes on the dollars you put into this account. So there are two ways in which you can use an HSA. The traditional way is to use it for qualified medical expenses during the year in which you contributed to the account. The optimal way though is to save your medical receipts and allow the funds within your HSA to grow tax-free over the years, treating it somewhat as a retirement account. You can reimburse yourself from your HSA account for qualified medical expenses at any time, provided you have the receipts. Additionally, you can convert the funds into a Roth IRA. A 529 account is a tax-advantaged account used for educational expenses that is funded with after-tax dollars to grow tax-free and allow for tax-free qualified withdrawals. This account is traditionally used to save up for your child's college expenses, but it could be used to fund your own educational expenses or roll over the leftover amount into a Roth IRA. I want to take a moment here to highlight that although these tax accounts and maneuvers all sound sophisticated and exciting, let's not forget to approach these steps in the order in which they're meant to be approached. You will not fund a 529 account before you capture your 401k match or pay off your high interest debt, at least if you want the highest return on your hard-earned dollars. In addition, if you're just starting out and this all sounds overwhelming, I would just skip this step. Okay, moving on. Step number 6, invest at least 15% in a taxable brokerage account. This is where things get exciting. Unlike your employer's 401k, you have total control over how much you invest here, as well as the investment options available. If you haven't yet, check out the video I made as a beginner's guide to investing, link in the description below. Though this next tip primarily applies to high income earners, as the traditional 401k usually would satisfy the retirement needs for the majority of Americans. If you have some extra room in your monthly cash flow though, the strategy will accelerate your current path to financial independence. So I would first start by opening an individual investment account with any of the top 3 brokerage companies, Vanguard, Fidelity, or Charles Schwab. Then choose a low fee target date index funds which has these components: a total US stock index, a total US bond index, a total international stock index, and a total international bond index. Next, set up automated investments for every time you receive a paycheck. Then leave this account alone for the next 20 to 30 years. For the final step, this is for those who have truly mastered their personal finance. They have an emergency fund that will cover 3 to 6 months of fixed costs. They have a fully funded 401k and capturing that sweet employer match. They have paid off all their high interest debt and they save at least 15% of their gross income into a taxable brokerage account. Now for the final step. Step number 7, pay off low interest debt. Everybody has a different viewpoint and approach to debt. Some view it as a tool to leverage and acquire assets to build wealth, while others view it as little more than golden handcuffs that forces them to keep trading their life energy to service this debt. Personally, I'm somewhere in between. The math doesn't lie though. Your net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. If you have debt, this must always be considered and put into perspective. If you have $20,000 in student loan debt, but you decide to put $1,000 in the latest meme stock, then you're doing this all wrong. Debt affords us certain opportunities, but it will always be a destabilizing force in the event of unemployment, disability, or death. If you've gone through steps 1 through 6, this is the last step towards financial independence. It doesn't mean that you have to accomplish it within the next year, 3 years, or even 10 years. But if you had the discipline and forward planning to make it to this step, I have no doubt that you'll be able to set aside a monthly amount, pay off your low interest debt, and have a totally debt-free retirement and financially independent future. If you found value in these videos and want more useful financial insights, hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and be a part of our journey. Stay tuned and keep thriving.